early childhood resources in Licking County. That is a very broad topic. That means a lot of different things, but it's a very important topic. And so we have a diverse set of panelists today. They work all addressing the needs of our youngest youth, but in a variety of ways. So we're very honored to have the following panelists with us. We have Deborah Grayson, who's the project manager for regional wellness at Nationwide Children's Hospital. We have Dana Moore, who is the vice president of operations for the Buckeye Valley Family YMCA and executive director of the West Licking County Family YMCA. We have Jamie Harris, who's the family and community partnership manager at Leeds Head Start, Early Head Start. And finally, we have Jackalyn Jones, who is Licking County Early Intervention Manager with the Licking County Board of Developmental Disabilities. So let's give them a big round of applause. So as usual, our panelists have been provided a list of questions in advance so that they can prepare some answers for you. You will also have the opportunity to ask questions of them that you think of during the conversation. So if you would like to ask a question, there are slips of paper on your tables, those long, skinny ones. Feel free to write questions, throughout the conversation if something pops up that you'd like to ask. We will be around towards the end of the discussion to pick those up, so then we can ask the questions of the panel at the end. Also, if you're new here, we would love to have your contact information and keep you in the loop. So there are also some contact forms on the middle of the table as well. So if you wouldn't mind, you can fill those out, and you can either leave those up at the United Way table, or you can just leave them on your table and we'll pick them up at the end of the day. So let's go ahead and get started. Panelists, there is a microphone there on the table. So if you would just pass that along, you might have to hit that button to unmute it. So the first question, just to get us started, please provide an overview of the work you do and the early childhood services that your organization provides.
So I am the early intervention manager, as Corey said, the services that we provide in the county. So we serve children ages 0 to 3 who have developmental delays and disabilities. So we do the evaluation internally once we receive a referral, and we determine if that child is eligible for services. There's also a list of diagnoses that can bring a child into our services that make them eligible for our program. We work with children in their natural environment, so in their home, primarily in the home, also in childcare facilities. We can even go to the grocery store with families. Wherever the child is kind of showing some of those deficits or the family needs some assistance, then that's where we provide some of those services. We're a parent coaching model, so we work with the parent to work with their child. So modeling some strategies for families. And so we have service coordinators who help to coordinate the service, and then we also have providers. So we have developmental specialists. They're certified in all areas of development to help support families. We also have an occupational therapist, physical therapist, and speech therapist on staff for the more of the specialized kiddos. We also help with the transition process from our services. Once they end at 3, our children transition on to their local school district, and they're evaluated for an IEP and to begin preschool services that way.
So I'm Jamie with Leeds Head Start, and so Leeds itself is a community action agency, but within that umbrella, we have Head Start center-based, which serves Licking County. We have centers in Utica, Pataskala, and then right next door is our Newark Center. And we have a center in Delaware and a center in Marysville. And then we also have home-based options in those areas as well. So home-based, kind of very similar to what Jackalyn was saying, is it's parent as teachers. We have a home educator who goes into the home, meets with the family for an hour and a half every week, kind of showing the parent the activity, and the expectation is then that the parent will be the teacher for the child. We also offer services for expected mothers, so we can serve families prenatal, and then once the baby is born, it would transfer to baby for services. And then our center-based services are ages 3 to 5, and that's a school readiness program.
Hello, I'm Dana Moore. I'm with YMCA. We provide childcare across the county for infants, tots, and twos in kind of a traditional format of all-day care. We have preschools within, both Pataskala and Newark. And then we also provide a wraparound preschool in partnership with Licking Heights. And we also offer school age programs and day camp during the summer. So kind of an all around, childcare for all ages.
Hi, excuse me, I'm Deb Grayson. I'm at Nationwide Children's Hospital in the Department of Community Wellness. So we do a lot of prevention programs in the community. And one of the initiatives that is relatively new at Children's is called Pediatric Vital Signs. And the reason that we nationwide have implemented that is they feel responsible not only for the kids that come in through their doors that need care in a hospital, but also for kiddos that are in the community. And so we trying to figure out how we best measure the health of kids in the community and what makes a healthy community for kids. And so we have what's called the pediatric vital signs, and there's 8 different vital signs. And Miriam, you can keep me honest here and help me remember them. Because I always forget. It's infant mortality, child mortality, preventive index, which is making sure kids get their well visits, and unwanted pregnancy, obesity, suicide, and then high school graduation and kindergarten readiness. And that the kindergarten readiness is what I'm working on with several community partners here in Licking County, because we know that if kids are successful at kindergarten, they will more likely be successful through their academic career, more likely go on to get further education, have a better income, and have a better health. So that's one of the things that we're looking at, and the reason that I'm here with the folks here in Licking County.
All right, thank you all for that. So as I said earlier, the topic of early childhood resources is very broad. It can range from childcare to educational services to mental and physical health care, all of which is represented on the panel here. Recently, Licking County residents highlighted the need for additional childcare options in a survey conducted by Grow Licking County. They were kind enough to actually bring by these one-sheet front and back kind of infographics. So we do have those over on the head table. If you would like to grab those, I would encourage you. There's a lot of really important information on here. In the survey, 67% of working parents said it's been difficult to find childcare. Outside of the challenge of simply finding childcare, what other barriers may be present for parents looking for services for their young child? And what can we do to address this?
I think there are so many barriers for parents now. Finding childcare is hard. It's not always available where the parents live or on their commute to work. It's not always affordable for parents. So some parents have to make the decision whether they put their child in childcare or work or not work. A lot of parents also work shift work, and so childcare isn't always available for when they need it. And then the other thing is that some providers are not able to take care of the needs of certain children. So especially children with disabilities don't always, parents don't have a lot of options for childcare providers there. And I think the other is the workforce. We don't have a great workforce for enough providers to provide for our children. And part of that is
Battery might have died. We'll go ahead and see if I can stretch this one and then I'll replace the battery.
So I think, yeah.
Okay.
The last thing I was gonna say is the income or the salary for the providers, like it's very low, and there's some great information on the document that Grow Licking County produced, and you can see the salaries there, which are pretty low.
I'm gonna piggyback on all of that. The following up on salaries, we've got some great people working for low wages, and we're trying our best as providers to pay them well, but we also don't want to price parents out of the market. So affordable childcare and well-paid staff right now are not going hand in hand. If people are getting if they're getting really nice salaries, or if people are saying they're making money at childcare, they're also charging those parents a lot of money. Cost is a huge issue for parents, cost for multiples. You are more likely to see a parent leave the workforce after they have a second or third child. It also is one of those things where, you know, it disproportionately hits the women. We're the ones who are leaving the workforce. We're the ones who are expected to leave the workforce. So that's part, it is almost like a quiet exiting. It's just this assumption that when childcare gets too expensive, you end up leaving the workforce to stay home with your children. So that's unfortunate. And just kind of one more thing I'd say, with what Deborah was saying, I'm a big proponent of education. I think our teachers should be some of the best paid people we have in the country. We don't even hold our early childhood staff to the same standard that we hold a teacher. These guys could make more at Amazon on a daily basis, and they choose to work with our children. 80% of our children's development is made by age 3, and we're paying these guys $15 an hour at a high rate. So we gotta do better. We're working to do better, but again, those are areas that we're really struggling. There's a huge vacuum of childcare in the county. The YMCA is one of the largest childcare providers in our county. We have over 200 children today in our care. That's not even a kindergarten class in any of our schools. So it's one of the largest providers, and we only have 200 kids across Licking County. There's a huge vacuum, and we need more, and we need to do better.
Along the same lines, whereas our cost is, our program is no cost to families, we do have to do an application and kind of look at all of their finances. And there are several families who fall just outside that line and unfortunately will go on a wait list or not be able to qualify at all due to their income being too high for the federal poverty guidelines. We are a no cost, however, we don't always, or we don't provide transportation. So that is a big factor for a lot of our attendance issues, as parents just are lacking the transportation to get them there. Their car breaks down, the person who agreed to bring them isn't available. And so that negatively impacts when children can attend school.
I mean, everything that they said, absolutely 100%. I think I come at it also from the perspective, Deborah also touched on this a little bit, but from the perspective of children who have some of those special needs. I mean, that's a huge barrier for parents, feeling confident that where they are sending their child, the staff is trained and equipped to be able to handle their child. You know, we have kiddos that we serve who are in wheelchairs or who have some other complex medical needs or who have behaviors. And so, I mean, parents, we hear it all the time. Our parents are concerned that their child will be, you know, removed from preschool or from a daycare because their child exhibits those behaviors. So I think there's some of that fear in parents, but also for our kiddos that aren't necessarily able to communicate the way that we would expect a 2.5-year-old to communicate, or even a 1-year-old to be able to communicate. Parents worry that the teachers aren't going to be able to provide the support that our children need.
Yeah, thank you so much for that input. Just to kind of touch on some of the stuff that they talked about and Dana mentioned as well, according to the report provided by Grow Licking County, the median hourly wage for childcare workers in Licking County is $11.88 an hour. And so that's the median. So that means there are people that make less than that as well. They found that approximately 3,815 new childcare spots are needed. That's pretty substantial. Just the cost of childcare alone right now, the median weekly cost of childcare per respondent is $200 a week. I know that I personally couldn't afford $800 a month. And I don't know what I would have to adjust in order to afford that. And the median desired weekly cost, $140. I have to think people were being kind or trying not to be unrealistic, because that's still almost $600 a month. I mean, that's a really, really nice car payment. I don't know. I mean, so clearly we have a need, and you know, but it's we're very beneficial to have information to inform us of the situation, because, you know, someone like myself, I don't have children, so I'm not even, you know, I'm aware through my interactions with other organizations, but personally, you know, I don't really impacted this like other people do, so. Yeah, thank you all for your feedback on that. So while we have heard a lot recently about the need for additional childcare providers, as well as the high cost of providing those services, it's important that we don't overlook the impactful work that's currently being done by our providers. So if you could, what successes can you share about the work you're doing, and where is your program headed in the future?
Sure. So, just a little bit of data. Over the last state fiscal year, our success rate, I guess you could call it that, our goal is to increase the confidence and competence of families. And so, over the last state fiscal year, 33% of our closures out of our program have been solely because of parents feeling confident and competent. So that goes to show that the staff and the parents are working, they're doing everything that they can to help move their child in the direction that we want them to go. And in our families, there's no criteria that have to be met for a family to exit from our services. It's just when they feel confident and competent. And so, you know, I count that as a success that our program is able to encourage families in that way. In regards to like where we're headed in the future. So we are in some child cares. We have some kiddos that are served by a variety of child care providers around the county. And we have relationships with a few of them, the YMCA being one of our main daycares that we are in frequently, but we would like to see that strengthen more. We can provide teachers with support to be able to help these children that are in their classrooms. We can help link them with different trainings and things like that in order to better, to help their understanding and how to work with kiddos that have some of these developmental delays and disabilities. So I think we're on the right path. We share our information with child cares. We do receive some referrals from child cares, but obviously in the future, we would like to see that grow.
So Leeds Head Start, Early Head Start, we employ about 70 trained staff. We are working, we've changed our credentials for assistant teachers and the fact that they can now have high school diploma. And then we have several of those who have taken advantage of partnering with Action for Children and working to get their CDA, which helps them become more equipped to handle any behaviors that may be in the class and just give them more, you know, tools in their tool bag as we're seeing more and more behaviors with children. We work diligently to try to have staff wellness. As you said, we're not the highest paid people in the world, so we're looking at, we do a 34-hour work week, 4 days a week, to kind of help them be able to balance work and life. Being a nonprofit, our wages, we are nowhere comparable with public school. So often we are losing staff for that reason, much like everybody has already talked about. So we continue to work for additional funding to try to support and increase wages so we get more qualified and longevity in our staff.
Some new things that we are doing, we just opened a new early childhood center in Tuscola for infants, tots, and twos. We have opened a new school age site at Northridge. Our kids are graduating from preschool they are either meeting or exceeding kindergarten readiness standards for their schools. And our future really is to continue to grow and help. An area that we're seeing a large need in is in the northwest area of the county. Johnstown specifically has one child care for the entire city of Johnstown. So we're continuing to look at where can we grow, but also how can we grow responsibly so that we can handle our own growth.
So I'm part of the leadership team here in Licking County addressing kindergarten readiness. We convened this team maybe about a year ago now. We came to there many community stakeholders, partners in this, it's Board of PD, the YMCA, the health department, Licking Memorial Hospital, schools. I know I'm forgetting, there's 20 or so different community partners that are involved in this initiative. And our goal is to get our kids ready for kindergarten so that they can be successful in kindergarten. And right now, the most recent data that came out from the Department of Education is that 32% of Licking County kids are ready for kindergarten. And that's not much different from the rest of the state. The state fluctuates, the different counties fluctuate. The average is, most are under 50%. So we've got a lot of work to do. And so this Licking County Kindergarten Readiness Initiative came together. We recognize that there isn't a county-wide initiative to help kids get ready for kindergarten. And it's not just getting them at age 4. We believe that getting kindergarten readiness starts at birth. It's from 0 to 5. And so we want to get these kids all the different experiences, all the help that they need, supports for families so that they can be successful. And so I think the success with our group is that we've got a diverse group of community partners together that haven't come together before to address this. And there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of motivation, and we're looking at different interventions that we can implement within the community so that we can help our kiddos be successful.
Great. So we started to kind of touch on this in some of our answers, but let's dig in a little bit deeper. We do often celebrate how collaborative Licking County is, and I think that's one of the strengths of the size of our community is that we easily know each other, work together, and are oftentimes very willing to do so. So how do you collaborate with other organizations? And again, I know some of you have mentioned you even collaborate with each other on the panel, but how do you collaborate? How are these collaborations impacting the work you're doing, and who is it that you're collaborating with?
I think I just kind of answered.
For collaboration, I mean, first, the United Way is one of our collaborators. DD is one that we're working on and continuing to work more closely with. A challenge that we have in childcare is kids entering our programs who have needs, and we have ratios and staffing to meet. So where kids might need one-on-one, how can we work with DD to try and help in a 1-to-5 ratio or 1-to-7? So DD has been a huge partner. Our libraries, we have story times and things like that come into our programs. Our own YMCA departments, all of our kids in preschool and things like that might go through gymnastics at the Newark Center. They get to go through the pool. We also are working with legislators, other YMCAs, nationwide. Advocacy is a huge thing that we need to work on. Our legislators don't know or understand the issues that we're having. So the more that we can advocate. The other thing that we are finding is that our problem is a little bit more unique than the rest of the state. Some places do not have the wait list that we have, whether it's because affordability is an issue and people are exiting the workforce or just the growth that we're seeing. So some of our issues are very unique to Licking and probably Franklin County as we continue to grow. So advocacy is going to continue to be an issue for our area.
So we partner with many of the same that have already been mentioned. Our biggest collaboration would probably be with our health department, our home visitors. We have 4 collaborated home visitors through the health department. So they are going into families' houses and working with them. In Delaware and Union, we also have the same. A unique thing that's not Licking County, but Union County home base also goes into ORW and works with those moms to help them strengthen their parenting skills. JFS, WIC, all of those are our strong partners. We work with the OSU Extension Office. She comes into Pataskla and Utica and does activities with the children at least every other week. We try our best to expose children to as many community partners as we can through our programs.
In regards to early intervention, so they've kind of highlighted on some of the partnerships that we have together, but just some additional partnerships that we have. We've been working with the Better Together Playnasium out in Pataskla. They can provide our families with a safe place where their children can go and play and interact. We just did an event with them over Easter, and they sponsored some fun activities for kiddos. So really just trying to get our name out there. That's kind of what we're about right now, trying to get more referrals. And so we've also done some other events with Leeds Head Start, Early Head Start at the YMCA. where we're targeting more that get school ready for our Nepali culture that we serve. And so being present kind of out on that side of the county is a really big push for us right now.
Thank you. It's so important to highlight those collaborations, and I think we all know, it does really take a village. And so that is one thing that I feel very fortunate about being here in Licking County, is that we do work together and we do kind of have that ability to provide services for each other. Rather than duplicating work, we can say, you do this really well, so we're going to allow you to do that. And so that is a strength that we have in this community. So thanks for highlighting that. What do you see as currently being the biggest need for early child care providers? We've talked about obviously pay and just finding providers and things like that. And we've talked about some of the barriers, but if we think about what are the needs of these providers, and also for the children, what are the biggest needs that you're seeing?
I would say additional training, which I don't think comes as a surprise based on kind of what we've been talking about, but just from my perspective, working with kiddos with disabilities, I think that there's just not enough training out there. But also for some of those behaviors that we're seeing. So the mental health aspect, during COVID, we saw an increase in some social emotional delays. And so being able to equip staff with some of the necessary resources, I think is huge. And sharing, even Nationwide has the preschool expulsion program. So being able to share those resources and help them tap into utilizing those and how they could be beneficial.
So I think the key word is funding, right? Like we need to be able to have staff who are well-trained. And to get well-trained staff, you have to be able to compensate them. As we've already stated, there are children coming in who, lived through COVID where everybody had to stay isolated. So it's a whole new world for them, and they can be a handful, quite honestly. So getting staff who are equipped to be able to manage those behaviors, and making sure that those children's social and emotional needs are met as they're learning whole new skills for them.
And I would totally piggyback on that. In addition to the support that they need, we also need to be able to provide additional team members into some of these rooms when some of these behaviors are happening. If we're at a 1-to-6 ratio and there's 2 teachers and 12 kids and one is having a complete meltdown, now it's 1-to-1 and 1-to-11. And that's the reality, and that's what we're dealing with. And we don't have, even if we get them well trained, we don't have the backup of somebody just being able to go in there and focus on that child and that child's needs at that time. So funding, high quality staff, support as we continue to grow and try to serve these kids to the best of our ability.
I would agree with everything the 3 of you have said. I think behavioral health is a huge issue for our kids and our providers. And I think as Nationwide is a mental health provider, there's a huge wait list. It just would be great to have more behavioral health providers to take care of the children that we're seeing. In addition to behavioral health, I think it's also important to remember, you kind of touched on it with the growing number of new Americans living in Licking County, especially in Licking Heights area. The culture is a little different with the work on kindergarten readiness. We expect a lot from our kids going into kindergarten, and some other cultures don't really see that have the same way, and they want to keep their kids at home and help them learn their traditional culture and language before sending them out into the academic world. So I think we really need to keep in mind the needs of our new American families, and also recognize that a lot of our kids are being raised by grandparents or being raised by family members, and they know what happened, to them. Maybe they're not familiar with what school is like now and what kids need now. And so I think we need to find ways to make sure they're included in whatever we're doing to help support the child and the family.
Thank you. Deb, I have a question. I'm going to go off script here a little bit, and I have a question for you specifically. Working within kindergarten readiness, how has that changed in recent years? Do you think that part of the reason why we have so many kindergartners who aren't prepared is it more challenging? Is it a combination of COVID? Do you know what factors might contribute?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. COVID definitely impacted kids. I think there's several factors that impact kids, toxic stress, poverty, insecurity, not strong relationships with their family. All of that really makes a difference for that child. But we've also got the supports here in Licking County and in Ohio that can help counteract that. We've got the home visiting programs, we've got the DD, we've got preschools that can help with that. So I think it's really the environment that that child is in, initially in that 0 to 5 range is what is impacting their readiness for kindergarten. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Do you think parents are aware of what it means to be kindergarten ready?
No, not all. Not from what I'm hearing, yeah.
So, speaking of parents, parenthood is no easy job. And it can be made especially more difficult when parents might be caring for multiple children while trying to work, while keeping track of all of the obligations that life brings. So what advice would you give to parents to best prepare their children for school and beyond while providing for their current needs?
I would say love them. Give them every, embrace them, be with them, and use every moment as a teaching moment. Whether you're in the car, driving, pointing out green trees, or turning on the signal light, just talking to them, being with them, singing with them. I think it's hard to find time when you're really busy. I appreciate that. So just taking advantage of every opportunity that you have to be with your kids. Read to them, sing to them, just be with them.
I was gonna say too, resources. There are so many resources available. We're a fortunate county in that, if a parent is struggling, there's quite possibly a resource that we can connect them with. So know that there's the ability, there's people who are willing to connect you, even if you call, like I call DD all the time going, hey guys, hook me up. Who do I need to talk to? Where do I need to go? Because they're a great partner and they have those kind of connections. So I think, as Corey said, Licking County is a great opportunity for people. If you even call the wrong organization, they will connect you with the right organization. There are resources available and parents just need to reach out and ask for help sometimes.
So a unique part of Head Start is that we ask for a lot of parent involvement through policy council and activities. So we really try to focus on getting parents to connect with each other. I think when they're in crisis, they isolate. You go and think, oh my gosh, the world's closing in on me, and you don't ask for help. So our hope is as they've formed bonds with other parents, they're going to reach out to each other. You're right, parenthood is not easy. There's no handbook and no two kids are the same. So it's important to make sure that they keep talking and keep asking for help when they need it, and that you're celebrating their successes with them, no matter how big or small they may seem.
I don't really have a ton to add. You guys highlighted pretty much everything. The only thing that I would say, it kind of piggybacks off of what Deb was saying, in regards to like, just communicating with your child, just do it within your routine. Like, that's what I would tell parents, just do it within your routine. The smallest amount of effort is still effort no matter what. I was doing some research with a family at their home, and we were talking through, she was talking about how it was really difficult for her with her mental health struggles to be able to incorporate playtime in their day. And we were reading that, just 3 minutes in the morning and then 3 minutes when you get home from work. And that's all that it takes. Just start somewhere, and then it'll just become natural.
All right, great advice. Thank you, everyone. Some of you have talked, again, the conversation has been full of references to other collaborators, other organizations, and a lot of the great work that's being done in Licking County, both by folks at this table and elsewhere. We also have a lot of people in our audience who are child care professionals, working, whether it's directly in child care, working to educate parents, working to provide services to children. So we have a lot of experts in the room right now on this topic. So what early childhood programs or services would you like to highlight or give a shout out to, whether they're yours or not, that you wish more people knew about? and why? So what are those hidden gems that you wish people knew of?
We direct a lot of our families to, the library, so those library story times, the Playnesium again. Just getting your kiddos out there, getting them in the community, getting them around other kiddos. The YMCA has some really great classes, the gymnastics classes that they have, even swim lessons, anything out there for kiddos ages 0 to 3. Just to get them around other kids is huge right now. I mean, it would be a shame for me not to highlight the early intervention program. But I mean, working in the natural environment with kiddos is just so huge, and it really shows parents that this can be done anywhere. So when we're working on communication strategies, it can be done when you're at the grocery store, it can be done when you're at the park. And I think that takes a load off of families and makes them feel a little bit more confident in themselves. So yeah, I think everywhere out in the community, but also, obviously including early intervention.
So for Head Start, I would like to, shout out us. We look at the family as a whole. So we are having, yes, we have our classrooms and we have our home educators, but we also have family advocates who, are acting as case managers or who are connecting families with those resources that they may not be aware of, who are kind of sometimes just a listening ear. They're gonna plop down in your seat and you're gonna hear all about their weekend, and that's just what they need, is someone to hear them. We also are, doing screenings for the children. They're getting nutritious meals while they're with us. They get breakfast, lunch, and a snack. We try to partner with local physicians because they are also required to get physicals before they come. Dental hygiene is a big deficit for a lot of our kids, and so stressing to parents the importance of making sure their dental hygiene, because as we all know, that kind of piggybacks off of several other conditions. So I think that when folks think of Head Start, you often think of us as childcare, but we really are a comprehensive family school readiness program versus a drop-off daycare kind of center.
I'd like to highlight and shout out our teams. When we talk about childcare, that doesn't always mean quality childcare. That might mean a kid is just being watched. Our teams are doing amazing things for not the best pay in the world. And even with staffing disruptions, they are loving those kids, they are educating those kids, and they are caring for them on a daily basis. So, and that's not just, the YMCA childcare, that is across our county and all of our childcares. So there are some great people doing some amazing things, and we just gotta do better by them too.
I'll follow suit and give a shout out to our pediatricians. I think it's important for kids to, and parents to make sure their kids go to their well visits. Between birth and by the time they enter kindergarten, they should have about 15 well visits. And that's really important for the docs. Sorry. Kids are going to be screened at these times. So if there is something that is of concern, the pediatrician can make a referral to all these wonderful resources that are in the community. So that's what I would highlight.
All right, thank you all. So for those of you who have questions, if you have those questions on your table, if you wouldn't mind going ahead and holding those up, Llewellyn's going to come around and grab those. If you haven't written a question, but you have something that is on your mind, go ahead and take the time now to do that. So again, I just want to highlight the importance of this topic, because first and foremost, we're talking about this because we care about the kiddos in our community. We care about the parents. We know that the health of our early childhood services network is the health of our future. And so, we want to highlight the importance of that, but we also can't have this conversation without talking about our future of Licking County as a whole and how this impacts that. I'm going back to the survey from Grow Licking County because it's just full of information. But that survey found that 46% of respondents had someone in their household who could not work full-time because of their childcare demands. And additionally, 56% of respondents have considered leaving their current job due to childcare needs. So obviously, we are all aware at this point that the workforce, the employment in Licking County is changing and is continuing to change and will change drastically in the next few years. And part of the work that we're doing at United Way, along with so many others in the community, is trying to prepare folks in Licking County to be able to take advantage of that and not get steamrolled by it. And so, we know that jobs are coming. And so we want people that are in Licking County to be able to take those jobs. And right now, childcare and access to the services that they need for their kids are preventing a barrier to the current job market. So when that changes and when we have suddenly more jobs and jobs that are enticing to people outside of this community, that's going to put us at even more of a disadvantage. So it really is part of an ecosystem. We talk about that a lot. We talk about the importance of nothing happens in isolation. And so this topic is connected to so many things and is really so important in a multitude of ways. So again, if you think of any additional questions, you're welcome to write those down on those papers. You can bring them up to me, or you can hold your hand up and wave it and someone will come by and get it. But thank you for those who submitted questions. So someone said, and I'm not sure who said this, but someone asked if you could elaborate on the statement, 80% of development happens by age 3. And they're asking specifically what kind of development that is. So I'm not sure who it was that said that, but.
I'm not sure I am the right one to address it, but yes, the majority of development in the kids are, their brains are just, all the connections are being made with every experience they have, and that's good experience or bad experience. And so this is a really formative time in a child's life, and they are learning. And I'm gonna turn it over to you, Kat.
And so I think it was social, emotional, communication, physical development. It's pretty much you're imprinting on your child between 0 to 3. And as Deborah was saying, you're imprinting the good and you're imprinting the bad. So it's really critical time frame for who our children become and their health.
Thank you. So another question, realistically, what would you propose as a solution to raising the pay of childcare workers? Does that come from funding from the government, from private owned business? Is there a combination? I know there's no easy answer, but how could we get some of that funding to raise pay?
That's a great question, Corey. How do we fix it?
There is a program through Job and Family, the daycare assistance program, so providers do that. And that probably hasn't been reevaluated. Just a thought, I use the daycare assistance program myself to get through school and work as a single mom. But, so it's a great program, you can apply online through Job and Family Services. But on the other end of that, so those providers that are being paid through it, when's the last time we looked at that? I don't know. Just a thought.
And on that too, with JFS payments.
Yeah.
So we may have a child enrolled in our program. We only get paid by the hours that you attend.
Exactly.
So if you pick up at 4, we're still paying a staff member.
Right.
And you think about it, we don't get a full week's pay. So, most of the time with JFS kids, and not that we're turning them away, but we are, not making the money that we would on a full pay child.
Yeah, so we can advocate for looking at a revamp of that system.
Yeah, and that would
in
be
the community.
for PFCC, that would be fantastic as well.
Yeah.
So,
Just a thought.
yeah, thanks for sharing that, Ashley. And if anybody else is aware in the audience, I'm fully comfortable with group conversation. So obviously the Board of DB receives some public funding, but is anybody else impacted by government budgets, by the state budget? Do you receive state funding, and how, do fluctuations in that budget maybe impact that?
So we are federally funded, and then we are also required to come up with in-kind rates. So we get 80%, and then we're supposed to in-kind 20%, which can be difficult. It requires a lot of parent involvement. Sometimes that's difficult. We find that especially with our Pataskala Center, where we have multicultural families who they don't understand or don't appreciate the value of having that time. They drop off. We had one say, well, I'm supposed to do your job for you. It's like, no, you're an addition to us, right? Like, so getting that buy-in sometimes can be difficult. I don't know what the magic wand answer is, but certainly, more parent buy-in is never a bad thing.
So yeah, that's always the question is how do we get money? Where does funding come from? How do we increase? And I don't think that there is a single person that has an easy answer to that. It would be nice if somehow money came from the government, but not everyone receives government funding. And, the honest answer there is that sometimes if you do receive government funding, that puts other funding at risk or makes you ineligible for other things. So it's not even something that even if it is available, everyone can benefit from it. Ultimately, I think we hope to have a community where everyone has access to a high-paying job where they can afford, childcare, or a home could be supported on one income. These are really unrealistic ideas at this point. So I think that's a bigger conversation than just paying workers. But thank you for your input on that. Someone asked, how prevalent is mental health treatment for children? So I think maybe what kind of services in terms of an early childhood might be provided or might be offered?
So through the board, through early intervention, we have an early childhood mental health consultant that we partner with out of Hopewell Health in Athens. They are able to provide our providers with some support. So they don't necessarily go into the homes and provide support with families, but more so educating the providers, and we can complete an assessment tool. It's called the DECA. We can complete the DECA on kiddos and send that DECA to our early childhood mental health consultant, and then she's able to provide strategies and kind of consult with the providers to be able to provide some of those strategies. And then we typically do a follow-up visit with the provider and the early childhood mental health consultant during one of our team meetings to help share the progress that child has made based on the strategies that were provided. But there's not, honestly, for ages 0 to 3, there are hardly any resources in our area for children who are struggling with some of those mental health, and there's a huge push for it. So next week, our mental health consultant is going to provide us with a training on, it's called the CARE training. And she's going to give us some resources and ways that we can help to support our families, but none of our providers, they're not licensed, they can't provide those supports as if, a specialist would be able to do that. So we're definitely lacking in that area for sure.
Do you have any idea what the unmet need might be? Like how many kiddos would benefit or really require some sort of intervention that aren't receiving it? Is there even a way to know that?
I don't know how you would kind of calculate that. We don't have that number.
I don't have a number, but I know wait lists indicate that.
I don't have a number, but I know wait lists are long, sometimes up to a year. And so there is a huge need, and for kids to seek treatment, but also I think it also says that we have a lack of providers that provide that type of treatment.
What are some of the most common treatments that they would need, or what's being addressed?
So a few years ago, prior to COVID, PCIT, so parent-child interaction therapy, the Village Network was providing that, and they no longer provide that here in Newark. So that would be one program that we would refer a lot of our kiddos to, but it's just not in the area anymore.
Okay, thanks for that information. This one is not a question, but just a feedback from the audience. This person says, my family benefited greatly from the prompt early intervention for our autistic grandchild, and we are so grateful. So that is
Thank you so much.
a testament to the work being done.
It's a great provider. It's an amazing program.
And then finally, a shout out to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. If you're not aware, They provide a book to, their goal is to provide a book to every single child in Licking County, a free book every month from age 0 to 5, which equals a total of 60 free books that a child can get in Licking County. It is a very, very utilized program, but there are, I think, what is it, like 50%? 57%. Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. That's very successful, but the goal is 100. So if you don't know about that, or if you come across people who don't know about that, it is a great program. It's free to participate in, so very easy to take advantage of that. And very helpful for parents to try to get that time in, read a new book every month, just a few minutes a day. So do we have any additional questions, any feedback? If you're a provider in the room, if you want to highlight your program, I'm fine with that. Anything from anyone? Yeah.
Good morning, my name is Tanya Smoot. I'm with Action for Children. So my goal in my position at Action for Children is to help licensed family child care centers. So I am in the search of finding friends, family, and neighbors. So if you know anybody that's interested in opening their in-home child care center to help out with a much needed need for child care services in the area, please refer them to us. We would love to assist them. So I just wanted to say good morning and thank you to the panel for all the hard work that you put in. It is a lot of work, and just hats off to you.
Thank you.
I just want to add real quick, all of our centers are still currently enrolling, as is our home base. So if you have prenatal to 5, please send them our way.
All right, great information. And yeah, thanks for speaking up. Tanya, if you also, you're welcome to connect directly with Action for Children. We can also put you in touch with them. So we would be happy to make that connection as well. But really, there's so much knowledge and so much hard work just represented in this room. So a big thank you to all of you who are going out every single day and working to make lives better in Licking County. So if there's no additional questions, feel free to grab some. Oh, another one, Cheryl.
And say, at Pathways, we got our staff trained in preschool age services and preschool curriculums and stuff. So that's something that, we spoke with Head Start and might go start doing some services at Head Start. So that's something for.
Yeah. We love this collaboration.
If anybody knows of any other resources out there for ages 0 to 3, please shoot them my way. We have kiddos that are even on the west side, east side, willing to drive to Columbus, but really kind of central here. If you know of anything at all, please shoot it our way.
I am with I Am Boundless, the Ohio Rise program, and we provide wraparound services to 0 to 22 and expecting parents. So each child or family would get paired with a wraparound facilitator that comes in and helps link with resources and hold team meetings, especially for kids that are multi-system needs that have a lot of team members and different resources. So we bring everybody together and kind of wrap around that family and figure out how we can uniquely help them.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's, if you're, I think some of us, especially a lot of us in the room, tend to go to the Children and Families First Council meetings, or we're involved with Engage, and so might be familiar, but there's just so much great work, especially with the wraparound services that are going on. Heather was here also from Children and Families First, but she had to leave, so, yeah. So much work being done, that's making a huge impact. Is there anybody else? Any last thoughts?
That's another resource, don't underestimate being a good neighbor to a parent who has children. If you see a young mom, dad struggling with their children, if you don't have kids young, reach out. A good neighbor can be another wonderful individual caring adult in the neighborhood. Reach out and help a struggling parent. Everybody can do something.
I'd say grandparents too, because it's so different. Raising grandparents, I'm doing it right now, raising grandkids versus what it was like parenting my adult.
Yeah, it's a bonus being a grandparent, and I like being grandparents to other kids. So yeah, just reach out. I agree with Deb. I
post a couple of things at my house and I borrow other people's kids and then give them back. So, it's a lot of fun. So use your neighbors.
All right, well, thank you all so much. We are going to, as Deb mentioned earlier today, we are going to stick around with our funded partners. So if you are here from a funded partner, hang out for a few minutes. We are going to touch base with you. Everyone else, you're welcome to help yourself to more food, coffee. Otherwise, you're going to get a little bit of a refund on your time. So, yeah, but thank you for coming. Yeah. Oh, yeah, another round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much. Right. I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday. And funded partners.